Hey Jeffrey, just taking a look at your file here. So I think you have a couple extra layers in here that you don't really need, but you have layer 1. If we open that up, we can see all the shapes in there. But what I want to work on is grabbing this guitar, and let's make it more of a graphic so that it matches the rest of the logo. So with this guitar, I made a copy, Command-C, Command-V, so I put it off here into the gray area because I'm going to work on this separate. I'm going to create a new layer. I can double click on this and, name it guitar reference image or something. You don't have to necessarily do that, and then I'm going to lock that down so I can't move it. And then I'm going to add another layer with the plus button to add on top of, so that I can work on top of that. And I'm going to use the pencil tool, and I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to make sure it's in the middle for the fidelity slider. I'm going to make sure edit selected paths is checked. 6 is good. So hopefully your pencil tool options will match mine if you're going to use the pencil tool for this, which I suggest you do. Actually, so let's just draw, let's make the stroke color black and put it to no fill color. So, and then let's just start drawing our shape here. If we push shift on our keyboard, you'll see that little icon next to the pencil. You can get a nice straight line, and then we can start drawing our shape. And if we let up, it's okay, because it'll just continually become a continuous, and then I'm going to push shift and close it. Okay, so that's pretty close to what we want. Maybe just filling that in solid, and then we can work on, the pegs. And this is what I would do. Sometimes it's going to look a little bad in certain areas, so you might want to use the smooth tool. Yeah, this has to be selected for the smooth tool to work, so you might have to reselect after getting on the smooth tool. It's under the sharper tool. Looks like this. And so if we click on here, we can kind of smooth out certain areas of our design to make it look a little better. I want this to be straight, so I could use the white arrow tool and move this and change these handles to make it straight. Oops. So these are the handles. I can grab those. I might even want to delete anchor points in certain areas to simplify the shape. I don't know if I'm on the right thing here, but anyway, so maybe something more like this, and obviously it would have pegs on it that we would add, but I think doing that instead of having this type of graphic, adding that in there maybe would be good. And you could potentially maybe use intertwine. See, this is a complicated design, so okay. And with music, I would actually make that black without a stroke. I think it looks better. This almost looks like it's tilted. I would almost just kind of, I don't know if it is tilted or not, and I would make it so that it's not overlapping your graphic, because there's already enough going on without the eye trying to figure out what's going on with that. So we want to move that. It still seems tilted to me. I think it's because the F's have such long whatever descenders on them. Okay, and so I would like to see almost like some of this filled in. What is this? I think there's just an extra thing there, but you have to do it as a stroke at least on some of this. I wonder if this even needs to be here. I just feel like there's too much going on. I almost wonder if you even need this. You could still experiment with it. I mean, I went through the trouble of showing you how to make it, but I'm going to move it off to the side because there's just a lot here. I like the J and the T combined. I think this looks pretty good. There are some issues with the shape a little bit, like this is a little bit clunky. The smooth tool may help with some of the issues. You could try using the smooth tool on it just to simplify some of the shapes a little bit. You just click and drag over the different anchor points to get it to work. But I'm noticing too, this isn't joined together, so I might need to move that anchor point with the white arrow tool. Let's get on this again. I think we need to make the stroke, the corner options of the stroke, maybe changing these might help. That doesn't. No, okay. I guess this is probably the best option. Okay, I thought maybe that might make a difference, but not too much of a difference. But see, there's some issues here, so we might have to tuck this in and just change this handle to be maybe more like that. Tuck this baby in right here. You know, maybe this, let's see, this black might need to like move, oops. I didn't need to push shift and open these up so they turn white. And maybe, I don't know, try and get them to match or bubble out a little bit more. Let's zoom in on that. There's a kind of a, if we go here and go to the anchor point tool, we can create more of like a sharper shape. I think. There it is. It's kind of finicky. It might be kind of hard to do. This is interesting right here, what's happening. Okay. So I think I might just be goofing this up even more than what you had. I was trying to fix it, but it's, you know, it is finicky. Want to kind of preserve that J shape as much as possible. There are some extra anchor points in here that maybe we don't need, but I actually am not loving that point, but the point on this is a little clunky too, but we could probably fix that if we just maybe just make it straight instead of pointed. I don't know. Some of this is just messing around with the anchor points and trying to get them looking a little bit better. I think I can round this off with the anchor point tool and make that look a little more, I don't know, a little bit better, maybe a little more rounded. Maybe something a little bit more like that. It's a little tricky in this area here in particular, but I think overall that looks pretty good. This could maybe be shrunk down a little bit, just so that it fits in this area a little bit better. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. I almost want to see this like off to the side, but this T is up so far up that I can see why you tucked it in under here. So yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. You could maybe do something like, I don't think so. I think it is best down here, I think. So yeah, maybe something like that. So that's my feedback on this. Hopefully that's helpful. I would almost just ditch the guitar. It's just almost too much going on with all the lines and everything. And bolding up things a bit is good. By making this bold and filled in and the music filled in. I think it does look more bold. Let me take a look at this logo here. I'm liking this. I almost want to see the American flag. I think this is pretty good. There's a lot going on though, and when I size this down, I lose the hammers. So I almost want to see the American flag like taken out of the shape, and just having like a solid black saw shape with white hammers, with no stroke. Just simplifying it a bit because, you know, there's just a lot going on. And if you want this to reproduce well, I would just fill in this solid. And then maybe on your web logo, on your website, or on, if you have an app or any kind of screen, you could have a color version of this with the inlay of the American flag in the background still, if you wanted. But for a simple black and white logo, I would fill this saw shape in solid black and then make the hammers white. And then, I don't know, I'm having a hard time grabbing different things. So, I have to open these up. Some things are grouped together, I guess. But this has a stroke on it too. I would remove that. And, you know, it might size down better for you, you know, because you have to think about scalability. And if you go too complicated with a logo design, it just does not scale down very well. So with this one, I would just simplify this. I think it's a good concept and I like it. I'm not crazy about the font pair. You know, there's no font pair, so and the A is larger than the D, which I'm sure you push Shift to get a capital A, but it just doesn't look good with this. And it would need to be kerned a little bit too. There's more space between the A and the D and the R. And then the I and the T are probably the tightest. You know, these are tighter than this end of this word. So kerning would be, you know, if you didn't have this outlined, you could put your cursor in here with the text tool and push Alt or Option on your keyboard and use your left or right arrow keys to either tighten or expand that space between the letters. Because I think this needs to be tightened up, this needs to be tightened up, and that needs to be tightened up a little bit as well. And a nice sort of font pair would be good. But, I mean, if you've already established this logo, then you might not want to change it too much. So you might want to just keep the font the same, but at least make those changes with the graphic that I talked about earlier in the video. But otherwise, I do like what you've done. I think it looks good. I just think, you know, when you start getting really complicated with stuff, you start running into problems. So with this one, I would almost, let's see, I'm not sure why this one, oh, okay, this opacity is turned down maybe. I would fill that in solid. I would get rid of the black stroke. You might want to keep the stroke on the ampersand potentially. I wouldn't have any strokes on these. So I grab this and just take that off. You could put the same color on there. So if you went in here, move this down if you want that in there, this color. Move it down to your swatches if you want to refer to it later. Because actually I do want to put a stroke color on this. And if it's in our swatches, then we can easily get to it. I don't want anything on that. The stroke on this is maybe too big too. Maybe 0.5 would be better. And something like that would be good. And then maybe, you know, obviously taking this off. And, you know, I would start with this one, do a file save as, and then create your color one from that version. But overall, it is a nice graphic. It's just a little tricky because it's more complicated. But good job for attempting that, and you did do a good job with it. It does look nice. There's just a few small issues, mostly with the amount of detail that you have in the strokes. There's just a few too many strokes on the different texts and shapes, which add to the complexity of the design, which you don't need. So anyway, other than that, looks really good. I like your font pair, and I like the color scheme that you came up with in your CMYK version. I will check your JPEG files in Photoshop real quick. I think they're probably set up correctly, but if I can get it to launch. Let's see. Here's your JPEG. I will do a control click open with Photoshop. Let's see if this works. Yeah, my Photoshop is not launched. Let me pause this. Okay, so I'm looking at your black and white logo. It does look like you put a maybe a pattern fill on this JPEG. I kind of like it, but I think overall for a logo, maybe a t-shirt graphic, sure. That's larger printed on the shirt, then that would be great. The level of detail is fine, but for a logo design, no. You do have this in grayscale, that's good. Image size, you have it at 300, so that looks good. Image mode, CMYK, and then if I do image size, 300, that's perfect. So your JPEGs look good. I would remove the pattern fill on these, and make some of the changes that I talked about previously. All right, talk to you later. Good job.